right, good morning. This is Scott Young from Optrics Engineering, and this is another edition of the Optrics Insider. And with me, I have, of course, Sean Sturby, our Technical Services Manager. So good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
So the three topics today are going to be the largest DDoS attack, blue leaks and dating apps, and Ripple20. So let's start with the largest DDoS.
Okay, so Amazon Web Service, they put out a report every once in a while, and in their latest AWS Shield Threat Landscape report, they indicated that in February of this year, they mitigated a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack with a record of 2.3 terabits per second of traffic. That is a huge amount of traffic. Now, we call it the largest DDoS ever so far, because in March of 2018, they also mitigated a record 1.7 terabits per second DDoS attack. So these attacks are just getting bigger and bigger as more and more people are getting faster and faster internet connections at home and at work.
It's impressive that they're able to mitigate it.
It is.
And it seems like somebody doesn't like them or wants to take them down.
Or somebody that was using Amazon Web Services. Yeah. So even though that they were able to mitigate it, that much traffic going into their infrastructure is definitely going to at least cause some subtle delays or changes in how all of these other services that are on Amazon Web Services are going to be able to react and reply. So as these things continue on, if you have an issue trying to get to something and it happens to be hosted out there on Amazon Web Services, it could be the next largest DDoS attack.
Well, that's a good point for anybody who uses, their organization uses Amazon Web Services to host an application or something for their organization, or if you are using a service that hosts their service on Amazon Web Service, that when somebody attacks somebody else, it does impact you as well.
Definitely.
Interesting. Okay. Blue leaks and dating apps. There are some data breaches there you'd like to discuss.
Yeah, so the first one is about a week or so old. A dating app, probably from a common developer, had over 845 gigabytes of data actually stored up on Amazon Web Services in a data bucket, and it was unfortunately not secured properly. So as a result, a lot of very explicit photos and screenshots and chat messages were exposed. Do we remember the Ashley Madison data breach a while back? It was 2015. After that data breach, the bad actors out there on the internet went through a lot of the information and started to do extortion spam. Expect similar things this time with this 845 gigs of released dating app data.
Not good. And how about the blue leaks?
The blue leaks one is interesting. Krebs on Security reported it actually just in the last week that hundreds of police departments, hence the blue, in the blue leaks, they had nearly 270 gigabytes of data that had been stolen. It looks like from a common developer, and some of these files date back from like 24 years ago. The data was made available online and searchable. So the very big caution here is that this data leak could expose very sensitive information and possibly even endanger lives if the information included things like, who was undercover on a particular investigation. It's very important to keep your data secure, especially if you're dealing with companies such as the police departments.
And for some reason that brings up, it's related, but something that people don't think about, and I remember hearing about it in the news a long time ago, is police departments using printers, photocopiers, and those photocopiers have hard drives which store copies of the documents, and then when the police department got rid of the printers, people pulled, once they were out of the police station, people, recyclers or whomever, pulled the hard drives, and then they had access to all the photocopying that the police department has. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's not just police departments, it's any photocopier.
Of course.
So yes, that should be part of your disposal program, especially if it's a rented photocopier, is to ensure that any of the data that's stored on it gets properly shredded.
Right. Yeah, just something people generally wouldn't think about. But since you brought up the police stations, it just popped in my mind. Okay, and finally, we're going to talk about Ripple20, and it's not a flavor of ice cream.
No, it is not. It's one of these issues in IT where they've put a nice name and brand around it. They call it Ripple20, but it's only 19 vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, these 19 vulnerabilities reside in a very low-level network stack for the internet, through the TCP/IP protocol. It was software library developed by a company called Trek. I've never heard of them before. But because of this, because it was about 20 years ago that they started building this, the Department of Homeland Security and the various different bodies that are warning people about security breaches and security problems, they say that this Trek library has been used by over 500 different vendors across the globe in the last 20 years. And as a result, literally billions of devices that are connected to the internet are vulnerable to these 20 different possible vulnerabilities. So I don't know, and I'm in the IT industry, what library my various different devices are. You take a look at the report and it's tons of things, including things from like printer manufacturers and GE, could be building control systems or building management systems, could be elevators, could be you name it. They showed UPS being exploited by this and turning off the power to the connected devices. Takeaway, best practices, know your inventory. What do you have on your network? Limit your access to these Internet of Things devices. Look for updates. Actively go out saying, is there an update? Go back to your manufacturers from your inventory list and say, are you vulnerable to this? Do you have an update? Don't directly expose any device, not just internet connected devices or IoT devices, to the internet if you don't have to. Use some sort of secure technology such as a VPN in. And there are some additional firewall specific blocking recommendations at the researchers site, the JSOF tech site, that IT managers can take a look at and go, oh, okay, we can add this to our firewall policies to try and block the attacking of this.
Lovely. Seems like there's something new every week.
There is.
Well, it's what keeps you busy, I guess.
Very busy. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, so we've spoken about the largest DDoS attack, blue leaks and dating apps in terms of some data breaches to be
aware of.
Thank you. And Ripple20. Anything else you wanted to add?
That's it for this week.
That's it. Okay, well, I'm sure there'll be more to talk about next week. Well, thank you, Sean, for your insight. Of course, if you found this video useful, we'd love it if you could share, like, and subscribe. And of course, if you have any comments you'd like to leave or questions for Sean, please do leave them in the comment section below. All right, thanks all. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.